Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. So I still had the footage, or at least most of the footage from my kitchen declutter earlier this year. I posted part 1 a few months ago and then never posted the second part, so I thought I would just throw this up as an extra video today for the people who wanted to see it. So I feel like the most of what I did was in last video, but I still had some areas to do. So we had recently gotten an air fryer at this time, and I had set it there so it was kind of almost hidden, but it wasn't ideal. That's where the toaster oven used to be, so I put the toaster oven over there. So then I had to find somewhere to put my mixer. So it was a lot of shifting around, I guess, in this part of the video. And this is why I get really frustrated, and this is also why it's very easy for me to leave things at the thrift store, because I hate when I have so many things that I need to find places. And even though these are things that I use, my kitchen isn't that big, so it feels really crowded. So this I don't think this is real. My grandma did give it to me, but I don't think it's real. It might be though, but usually I just stick that inside that mixer bowl. And I decided to get rid of one of the mixers and keep the avocado one, because that was my dream mixer. And so I'm going to replace that on the top, and ended up selling the other mixer. And then in here is where I keep just a lot of random vintage things and my vintage cookbooks. So I'm really not happy with this entire thing ever. I don't think I've ever been happy with it any way I've ever had it. It's something that frustrates me a lot. I think it's supposed to be a microwave stand, but I don't have a microwave, so I just use it for cookbooks. So I think I've shown this before, but this is one of my favorite vintage things I own. I think it's from the late 70s, maybe early 80s. It does have a barcode, so it's not, earlier than maybe late 70s, but I just love it so much. I wish that the sticker wasn't, I got these from the thrift store I used to work at, and they had put their own price tag over it. Unfortunately, they did that a lot until I was like, don't do that, you're ruining everything. So I think they kind of stopped doing it, but anyway, I'm always just really frustrated with this. There's some pieces in here that are sentimental to me, so I don't want to get rid of them, but at the same time, I don't know, I don't have that big of a kitchen, and so I do have these tulips, which I get comments on all the time. I don't know, no one's ever mentioned this before, but I'll show you that this big one actually broke into a bunch of pieces, and I glued it together. It actually broke twice. Unfortunately, but you can't really tell from afar. But I was heartbroken when it happened, yes, but I did only pay $5 for that big bowl. So it wasn't like I had spent $100, because these have really risen in price a lot within the last few years, especially. I see some of the prices and I just think, wow, that's crazy. So I'm actually thinking about selling the other 2 pieces, just because I don't know. I do like them, but I also feel like they're not exactly my vibe in my kitchen. So this red piece belonged to my grandma. She got it when she got married, and it actually says Made in Canada Pyrex. I think that might be the only piece that I have, but she gave that to me a few years ago. She actually was still using it, but my mom actually, so this is before my mom passed away, my mom convinced her to give me, she gave me a couple of other pieces of the Pyrex too. And then I just bought this one in a thrift store, and it has little vintage picks in it, which I love. I forget where I got those picks, but I do love them a lot. So basically, I really wanted to do something with this whole setup here. I have a lot of cookbooks as well, as you can see, which is why I also only collect some, like the Better Homes and Gardens and Betty Crocker, which it's funny, the Betty Crocker aren't even on this stand, but it's easy for me to leave cookbooks just because of how many I have and how difficult it seems to be to put them somewhere. And then below that is just where I keep my baking supplies, which I have a lot of different flours is mostly what's down there, and that's a bit messy. It hasn't really improved that much, so I don't have an after shot of that, but I am going to do a stock up soon, and I really do want to clean it up down there some, so maybe I'll share that in an upcoming vlog sometime whenever I do that. But yeah, this is like my main thing, and this actually took me like a couple of days to work on because I tried a bunch of different things. So I set it up like this and left it for like a day or two, and I put like all of the baking cookbooks up there underneath that milkshake maker. So I was trying to figure out if I liked it like that. I ended up not liking it, and ultimately what I really wanted was to put all of my cookbooks together and have them be like more easily accessible. So I just had to like think about it for a while to try and like figure out. So I have all my like non-vintage cookbooks stacked up there, and I did really like that there. And so a bunch of my other cookbooks are over here underneath the Pyrex to kind of give them some height, but it's really impractical. Like I like the way it looks, but it's really impractical. I find myself never looking at those cookbooks because it's just, I don't want to be bothered to try and get them down. And what I really wanted to do was to be able to just use one of these shelves to put the cookbooks, but unfortunately the bigger ones just won't fit. And so then I thought about just putting the smaller ones, but then I figured I'd be in the same situation where, I don't know, I just, it's like, I like at one point I was thinking I should just get rid of all these cookbooks and then I don't have to even deal with this. But then I would have regretted it. So I don't know. I just had to I was getting very frustrated during this part of the kitchen declutter and clean up and reorganize. I eventually, and I think I'll explain later in the video, and I had just thrifted a bunch of ones that I didn't have already. And so I was like, I need to figure this out, or I need to just not have these cookbooks anymore. So I didn't think that I was going to like this, but I thought I'm just going to try it. And the worst thing is I don't like it and I can always switch it. But I thought I'm going to clear the bottom shelf of this and then I'm just going to put all the cookbooks in here. The reason why I didn't think I would like it is because I like when things are very symmetrical, and I had to move the shelf so that it wasn't like even. And then the books themselves weren't going to be even. But for some reason, I don't know if it's because it's behind a closed door. I left it for a couple of days and it didn't bother me. So I felt like I would be able to deal with it. So I actually really love it. And now it's super easy. I kind of just group my cookbooks together by like likeness. So that if I'm like looking for a certain type of recipe, like the cookbooks that it would most likely be in will be all together. So I'm very happy that I did do this because I was convinced 100% that it would be something that would bother me and I wouldn't be able to like live with it, but so far so good. And then I was able to keep a lot of that down there the same. So, and then up here I just have the baking cookbooks wouldn't fit in there, so they're just stacked up there. But and then I did switch the air fryer over there. It's not my favorite look because obviously it's modern, but I was thinking that I could probably make a pattern and sew a little appliance cover to put over it, maybe find some vintage material. So I'm gonna look into doing that at some point because it's not like we use it even every week, so it wouldn't be too much of a hassle to take the cover off. And then by switching them, it's more practical too because it leaves me with more room, because this is basically where I do all my cooking is on this one counter. And then there's a plug there that's handy for that. But if I could just have some rant about my kitchen, you can see that next to the stove there's no cupboard, like it's just a piece of wood. So the entire, like those two entire sections next to the stove are completely wasted space, which is actually kind of a lot of space wasted when you have a small kitchen. And then I have the double sink, and then underneath the sink I can't really use that space. I can use one side a little bit. So I don't really have a lot of, like, just the whole bottom situation in the kitchen is just so frustrating. So we do want to renovate our kitchen, but it will be like a big job because I want to basically change everything in there, and I want it to be like custom to what, like, I want it to be custom to exactly how I need it to be. So it's going to be super expensive. So it's probably not going to be for a long time. So I'm like making the best of it, but it also just kind of sucks. So anyway, moving on from that, I am very grateful to like have our home. So I don't want to sound like I'm complaining. It's just, it is a frustrating thing because I don't have a lot of space to deal with in the first place, and then I feel like a bunch of it is being wasted. But under the little drawer under my stove had gotten really cluttered with things that I had purchased and just put down there for the time being, so I needed to like figure that out. And then this cupboard is basically like the main place I have to store things. I've just tried so many different ways, and it always just ends up super cluttered. It's just a very awkward, because there's like this little half shelf, but then it's like you can't really get to anything that's under that, and then even to get to what's on the, I don't know. It's just, I want something completely different in the future, and I think I'll feel a lot better. But I did decide to get rid of a few things that were down in the stove like that. Looking at, like, I basically took everything like that I like cookware kind of things and put it in on the dining room table. I don't think I took much footage of that, or I deleted it, but I just kind of wanted to see everything that I had and like what do I use the most. So I was able to, a lot of what I keep under the stove is things I don't use that frequently, but that I do use sometimes, like cake pans, cheesecake pan, like muffin trays, donut trays, things that in the past, I mentioned that I was like really hardcore minimalist. I got rid of so many things that I ended up having to rebuy. So I think that's one like flaw in minimalism, that you can get carried away with and end up like getting rid of things and then having to rebuy, which is like super wasteful. So I do try to be very mindful of that while I'm doing things like this. And then over here, I really wanted to just switch some things around. I have like a bunch of tea that I never end up drinking because it's like away. So then I thought I'll move these little vintage dishes over here and put the tea in here, but I ended up not liking the way that it looked. So I had saved these cardboard boxes that the mason jars came in from the last video. And I thought, I was looking online for a tea like holder but they're ridiculously priced for like a little box to hold tea. It was like $25-$30. So I was like, you know what? I have some wood grain contact paper. I'm just gonna like make my own little tray with this. And I think it worked out fine. And it was basically free because I already had everything that I needed to do it. Underneath where I have that little coffee thing, I do have this as well, which is, again, it's not as bad as under here, but I did some rearranging. To be honest, it's back into a mess again, so I don't have after footage of that because it's just, it's so frustrating because I can't figure out a way that it will stay like functional but also look not so crazy. So it's a major source of frustration. I got these cereal containers because I thought they would be good up here at the top shelf of the pantry, but they ended up just not working at all. So I just stuck with the glass jars. And these are just jars that I've just like reused. I used to work, one of the jobs I worked at, they would let me like take them home. We used to get, I think we'd get like hot peppers in them maybe, I forget, but very happy with that. So now we're moving on to the dishes in the cupboard. So this is the part where I knew like I was going to have to get rid of some things in here because it just felt too cluttered. And I had something that I had thrifted that I wanted to keep, but I knew if I kept it, I had to get rid of some things. So in those top baskets, one has coffee stuff, one has smoothie things, and then one has supplements. So that was fine up there. And then I just have these dividers. I don't know if that's the right word for dishes to try and make it work. Overall, it's not too bad. But it feels more crowded than I want it to be, but I'm not sure how much I got rid of on this side, but the other side has all of the mugs and glasses, which is like such a problem for me because I always see really cute mugs or glasses, and yeah, so, and then at the very top I just keep like extra big serving dishes, which I don't use that much, and then that Pyrex, the glass Pyrex with the lid. So that was like, I knew that the top shelf was fine. And then here I was just deciding if I should keep the soup bowls, but I do use those 2 bowls. And then this bowl, John, is the bowl that John usually uses for soup. We just have one of them, but he usually uses that one for soup because the other bowls are kind of too small. They're more for like a bowl of cereal. I do really like how my dishes are set up in here, so I didn't really feel like I had to change that at all. I did get a new set of dishes though, which I just recently got them, so I filmed a little clip of them and inserted that a little bit later to show you. So then we move on to the glass and mug side, which is very full, and there's just 2 of us living here and we rarely ever have company, so like being realistic. So those big clear glasses, we have 2 of that John uses, and then I have they're the same size but they have the Snoopy on them, so that's how we know whose glass is whose. We each have 2, and that is good. That yellow striped one and this flower one are both vintage, but I used to have like 2 of each, but 1 of each broke. And then these strawberry glasses are not vintage. I know someone out there is going to type all caps that they are vintage. They're not vintage. I bought them brand new in a store in 2021, so definitely not vintage. And I bought them because they looked vintage. So a while back, some of you might remember when I thrifted this set of Libby glasses. I was unsure at the time whether I should sell them or keep them because they kind of fit my vibe a lot. So I thought about it for a couple months, I guess, and I did decide to keep them. And so there's 8 of them. So I knew that I could get rid of the strawberry glasses. That was kind of like immediately like, okay, I can get rid of the strawberry glasses. They were really inexpensive, so I just donated them. Actually, I think I pretty much donated everything from the kitchen unless it was like worth money, like that mixer we sold. So my idea was that I could put those in where the strawberry glasses were, get rid of the strawberry glasses, and then get rid of that yellow one and that flowered one because like it was just 1 of each, and I didn't find myself using them that much. So it's like I had them, I liked them, but you know, it's over now. So I did let those both go as well. And then I have these glasses, which I did end up keeping, although I don't know if I've used them since, and so maybe the next declutter they might go. But I love them in the summer, especially this like flamingo one, and then the other one reminds me of like Miami Vice or something. They both remind me of the 80s, so I'm guessing that's probably when they're from. I love them so much I didn't want to let them go, but truthfully, I don't think I've used them. And then I have this Starbucks like to-go mug that I thrifted, I think, a long time ago, but it didn't have the piece on the lid that would like keep it there, that little like rubber piece. And because of that, I just never use it. And I probably could maybe get like a rubber piece to put on it, but like it just wasn't worth it to me to go through that. So I did end up just donating that as well. Someone else can, like, I could have used it without the lid. It's just, why would I when I have other mugs? So I did let that go. So I did this shelf first, so I left the glasses that we use every day, and then in behind we do have these two A&W mugs that we do use sometimes, so I did want to keep those, but since we don't use them that much, I thought I would just push them over kind of into that area that's, not as accessible, I guess you could say. And then I had to wash all of those Libby glasses that I got, so, and I don't have a dishwasher, so like I generally just let my dishes air dry, so I decided to do that. And then I did decide, I don't think I was sure that I wanted to let those go at first, but I just realized I should let them go. And then I was thinking about these, still debating it. I did end up keeping them, but like I said, I don't think I've used them since, so maybe they'll not make the next cut. So that shelf wasn't too bad. And then this one, I have a lot of mugs, and like I said, it's just the two of us. I do have some smaller vintage glasses that I do use all the time, and I love and cherish them, and they fit up there nice, so I didn't feel like I needed to get rid of any of those. So I have 3 of the green ones, 2 of the little floral ones, and then 2 of these yellow bird glasses, which I love so much. And then I have 2 of these mugs from a restaurant. Like I think they're from the 80s, from like a restaurant here in Canada. And then I have these Tim Hortons ones, which these are what they looked like when we were kids growing up. And they just give us nostalgia. So we thrifted those a while ago. We don't really use them that much, but this one gives me nostalgia because we had the same ones in my house when I was growing up, but I thought I could use this over under the espresso because like our normal mugs won't fit, but even this mug, which is really small, doesn't fit. But I did keep this one, I think, because just nostalgia, but it's way too small to have a cup of coffee. Like, that's one thing I find really weird when I look back at coffee mugs. Like, the mugs are so small. It's like 3 sips and her coffee's gone. So I ended up just sticking with that one over there. These 2 mugs are the ones that I use the most frequently, like if it's not a holiday season, even though I guess this is technically Easter, but that one's like very sentimental to me because I bought it while I was staying with my mom, like taking care of her. So those are the 2 I use the most. And then these Corelle mugs, which are really nice, came with our dishes, but we just never use them. They're not the smallest mugs, but they're not exactly the biggest mugs either, so I think that's why. And so I think I did end up getting rid of some and keeping some, because I was thinking like, oh, what if we have company? They would be good to use for company, but I did end up getting rid of all of them. So I don't have any of them anymore now. And then I used to always use this mug for tea, but I decided to let that one go as well. And I found this Alice in Wonderland mug since filming this, but that's the mug that I usually use for tea, unless it's like Christmas time, or like now I have other mugs that I use. I really love this mug because it's really big. And then I had another mug that was the same size as that, so I was debating whether I should keep that or not. I don't know. I don't know what it is about mugs, but here it is here, this, but first coffee, or coffee first always. They're the same size, so I was like, the likelihood that I need 2 of these is not likely. And then I didn't really bother with John's mugs while I was doing this because I didn't want to do that for him, but he has since gotten rid of some mugs. You tend to just use the same like 2 in my experience, and with him as well, so I don't know, it took a while, but I did end up letting some go, and then I just kind of put John's mugs back in there and just let him do that at another time, and just didn't really factor it in. He definitely uses this one a lot. He did keep that one. And then I have 2 mugs back there that they have a business on them that's like close-ish to our house, so I don't want to show them. John bought the mugs, I think, probably to be supportive of the business, but I've never used them, but I didn't want to get rid of them either. But we do use them when we have company sometimes, so along with those Tim Hortons ones, so they do get used sometimes, but yeah. So this is what it ended up looking like after that kind of first round, but like I said, I've gotten rid of more since I filmed this video, like months and months ago. So got rid of all of the Corelle mugs. They're nice mugs, I just never really use them, so it's a waste. Then I decided to put my straws in a new place, and then I guess I'm just showing you this cute tea for like loose tea that I have. So that was in there with the straws as well. I think I ended up like washing it out and then putting it back in there. Okay, so I'm showing you, I initially just got rid of 2, and then this mug I did get rid of, and then the Mickey one I used to use for tea. So first round, and then John got rid of some of his as well that he never really uses. So I was just waiting on putting the Libby glasses in up there. There was enough space for those, so it's not so crowded up there. And then over in this little space, that's where I ended up putting the straws, but then also like reusable bottles. This is another thing that just drives me crazy. It's funny though, I think I kept all of these, but it's funny, I've gotten rid of some of them since as well, and there's a couple I want to get rid of again, so I don't know. I usually do like a big clean and declutter of the kitchen every January. So since I do it like kind of the same time every year, it's a good way to see like if you use something in the last year. So, and you can like keep going back every year. So it's like, oh, 3 years ago I kept this and I haven't used it since. So anyway, now I'll show you the dishes I got. So Corelle has re-released Spring Blossom, which I was so excited about. One of you actually reached out to me on Instagram and told me about it. And it's funny because I thought that you were reaching out to say that they had Hello Kitty dishes, because a couple people have told me about those as well. But when I opened the message and saw that it was Spring Blossom, I just about lost my mind. I have been wanting them to do this for years and years and years and years. But I just gave up hope that they were going to. And so I bought that other set that I showed at first. I was like, all right, well, these are fine. These will do. So I'd only bought those a year prior, but we're selling those, and hopefully that will help pay for these. But I did get them 50% off. They were running a sale, so it wasn't too bad. And I feel like these dishes last forever. So I'm just showing you comparison to the old style. So they're a little bit different, but I think it's really cool that they did it. I wish they would do that with more things. I wish that Pyrex would do that too with some, I don't know. I just wish they made like cute things still. Everything's so like plain and boring. Anyway, I just thought I would show you the dishes because I'm very excited. I showed them on Instagram just like a couple weeks ago, I think. And then lastly, I went down in the basement and cleaned out my freezer down here, brought up stuff for the upstairs freezer, and then I keep my freezer pretty organized with like baskets. They're kind of, each basket has its own kind of designation. Like this one's bread or like bread-like products. It just keeps it like really neat and organized, and you're able to find things easy. So I just kind of quickly did that. I just pull all the bins out, wash the freezer out, and then I kind of sort through everything because sometimes it gets messy. Sometimes maybe you don't have room in a certain basket, so you put something in something else, or maybe things just sit in there for a while, you forget about them. So I do this pretty regularly. Like I actually just did it last week, so I think I show that in a vlog too. So I didn't take a before shot of the freezer before I got started, but I do take an after shot. So yeah, I keep one bin with like faux meat that is like we buy because I make most of it. So one basket, like small basket, is for stuff that's like store-bought, and then this bigger basket is for like homemade things. So I was just kind of getting everything organized to see what I had to use up. And I probably do this every like 2 or 3 months, do like a big full clean. And I just can't stand when there's just a bunch of stuff piled in a freezer. It drives me crazy. So Anyway, I got all done, and then I forgot that I had this pizza crust. I was like, oh no, but I was able to fit it in. I just moved some strawberries there. Most of what's on the top shelf is just frozen fruit and vegetables. So it's actually what's mostly in our freezer, in like the really big bins, and then just like some other things in the smaller bins. But it felt super good to get this done. Like I said, this is like all the way back at the beginning of the year. Like I said, I do it every January, February usually, so I'll be doing it again relatively soon. So maybe I'll film it again. I'm already like getting the itch to do it, especially watching this footage, but I just find after Christmas is like a really good time to do it, especially because it's winter here, so it's like really cold. There's not that much to do, so it's just, I don't know, it always just feels like a good time to do it. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I do have a new video posting, or it's not new, it's from a couple months ago, but it's a thrift with me video, like a longer one, posting tomorrow. I just thought I would put this up today as an extra video. So anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.